Now, if the idea that a nobleman knight from the 14th century would immediately attack a car, treat it as a dragon, and slay it doesn't sound funny to you, then this probably isn't for you. If it does, and you're still with me, you're probably gonna like this movie.
Probably not, but maybe.
Welcome back to The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking Just Visiting, the 2001 comedy starring Christina Applegate and Jean Reno, the famous comedian. It was adapted from the French screenplay Le Visiteur. Hope the camera just caught that spit that came out. That's great. Which was written by Jean-Marie Poiret.
Pardon my French.
And Christian Clavier. It was adapted by Christian Clavier, Jean-Marie Poiret, and John Hughes, actually. So it's a John Hughes written movie. And it was directed by Jean-Marie Poiret. I love the French, you know? I love that they never pronounce any of the end of what they've written. It's great.
I'm French! Why do you think I have this outrageous accent?
It's like 17 letters at the end and they don't pronounce any of them. The reason I picked this one is because I remember watching this when I was a teenager, so like maybe 16, I think.
Yes, I'm old.
17, 18, I don't know. I think it came out in 2001, so I must have been 18. And I remember thinking that this movie's probably not going to be very good. And I remember really liking it, so I was curious, will it hold up for me? And that is why I picked it. I wanted to introduce people to it. I picked it because I wanted Zach to watch it, and then I was like, well, maybe Mike will watch it and they'll enjoy it. Of course, they're a bunch of wusses and can't continue to do a podcast, so now it's just me. And I'll let you know if I thought it held up. So let's dive right into it. We'll start off with the Potent Notables. So as always, we start the Potent Notables with the box office info. Just Visiting made $4.8 million domestically and $11.4 million internationally, for a worldwide total of $16.2 million. And this was against a budget of $35 million. So yeah, this didn't do well at all.
That was a total flop.
Because $35 million is, you know, it's a lot more than 16.2, so not great. So Count Thibault and Andre attack a red SUV saying, "Look, a dragon!" Now, in the original French 1993 version, they demolish a yellow postal van, but first scare off its black driver saying, "Look, a Moor." So that scene was changed for obvious reasons. Jean-Marie Poiret hated his American version of his movie and mentioned that this was the reason why the third movie of the original French trilogy took so long to be made. And I just find it fascinating because I had no idea that there was a trilogy to this. So apparently there's 2 sequels to this in France. I think I want to watch them. I don't know if they'd be as funny reading them in captions, but I'd give it a shot. The fountain that Andre and Angelique go to is the same one seen in the opening credits of Married with Children. Now, if you're wondering, like, how is that any significance? Christina Applegate starred in Married with Children as Kelly, and she stars in this. So it's just kind of a fun little symmetry. And last but not least, this was the last movie written by John Hughes where he uses his actual name. Every movie he writes after that only have him credited under a pseudonym. So last John Hughes by John Hughes. So those are all the Potent Notables. Let's head to the movie overview. Okay, so the question is this movie still funny to me 25 years later?
Let's find out!
So the movie starts without too many laughs. So we begin in the 14th century, and the Earl of Warwick is plotting to kill the Count of Malfet, or Thibault, our hero. And this opening introduces us to Thibault and his servant Andre, his lady love Rosalind, who will bear a striking resemblance to Julia, who will be the main female character of the movie. They resemble each other because they're both played by Christina Applegate. She plays one with an English accent, and the other with an American one. And seeing Christina Applegate do a British accent, an English accent, it's pretty fun. It's not laugh out loud fun, but it's fun. The plot of the movie centers around Thibault getting to marry Rosalind. But this is not a romantic comedy. There isn't any falling in love happening here. Because it opens in the 14th century where the Earl of Warwick gets a witch to produce a potion that will make Rosalind view Thibault as a monster. But they end up switching cups, and Thibault views her as a monster and everyone else, and then he kills her. It's kind of, an intense opening to a comedy. Thibault then has Andre fetch a wizard to fix this, and this wizard concocts a potion to send him back in time to stop himself from doing this. And this is where the comedy actually starts, because this is probably like the first 15 minutes of the movie. It's giving some exposition, introducing you to characters. It's not super fun. We also get a sense of what the comedy is going to be like here, because Thibault is very earnest, and Andre, his servant, is an unfortunate dope who is in the thrall of his master, right? So Andre tells Thibault, don't drink the potion. And he's like, why? Well, I think that potion could be poison. So Thibault says, you're right. You drink it first, and if you die, I'll avenge you. Which probably isn't funny to hear me monologue it, but it was fun. It made me laugh when I watched the movie. It was my first laugh, actually. And this is how they both end up going through time. Now, after they're gone, the wizard realizes he forgot an ingredient and determines to go after them. But this is how Thibault and Andre, instead of going back in time, go forward 600 plus years. And this is where I have to warn you that this is just my cup of tea, okay? I love to imagine how people would act if they were brought from the distant past into the future. So this has massive appeal to me, and it just works for me. Now, if the idea that a nobleman knight from the 14th century would immediately attack a car, treat it as a dragon, and slay it doesn't sound funny to you, then this probably isn't for you. If it does, and you're still with me, you're probably gonna like this movie.
Probably not, but maybe.
This part may sound odd, but I like that we don't have to worry about budding romance between the two leads, as they are technically distant relatives. I think it would have gotten in the way of the slapstick style, out of time humor throughout the middle of this movie. That being said, I probably could have done without Andre's romance with Tara Reid's character, which I guess is Angelique, but it's fine. Interestingly, because they don't have a lead romance in the movie, it makes the beginning and ending of the movie a bit slow, because they're trying to build that romance into like the first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes, and it's just not very funny. You're just like, okay, I get it. He wants to marry her. Got it. Either way, I was absolutely there for all the shocked and surprised faces that were made due to technology and all the silly ways they interacted with the world. Even the villain in the movie, Hunter, played by Matt Ross, is fun with his reactions to their wildness. Like when Thibault tells Andre he must run behind the chariot, which is the car, because he is not of noble birth and can't ride with them. And of course they're like, no, he's got to ride in the car. And Andre insists, I run very fast. And Hunter, it's just like, oh yeah, you run 70 miles per hour, huh? This is the kind of joking that happens throughout it. And it's funny because I'm saying it and I'm thinking it's really funny. And I'm picturing somebody listening to this on the other end going, that's not funny. So if that's you, I'm sorry. If you're more like me and you think that's a funny premise, you'd enjoy seeing it because the way they do it is better than me sitting in front of the camera trying to relay it. On top of that, once he actually gets in the car, then both Andre and Thibault immediately get scared as it starts going really fast, and then they get sick. Then they force Hunter and Julia being the distant relative, also played by Christina Applegate, they force them to go like 25 miles an hour on the highway, which is a fun sight gag as well. So again, you may be listening to this and or watching this and going, these are stupid jokes. And you'd be right. They are stupid jokes.
Yes, they are.
I don't care. They work and they make me laugh. So the crux of the body of this movie is that Hunter is trying to cheat his fiancée Julia out of her inheritance, and the movie is wanting you to root for his downfall, but really all plot is secondary to the goofy comedy that exists in the middle 40 minutes of this movie. Now, this is probably going to give you a good idea of how the rank is going to go, so let's get into it.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the movie based on 10 categories: story, acting, originality, dialogue / writing, film coherence, joke relevance, character relatability, my rank, and the laugh counter. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. First category is story. I gave story a 4.25. I think the story is actually pretty solid. A count is about to get married and a jealous earl tries to kill him off. He goes forward in time and needs to adjust to the new time as well as find a way back to his to right the wrong. It's good. It's easy to understand and fun. I mean, what else do you want from a comedy, right? So let's go on to acting, which I gave a 4. I thought it was pretty darn good. Christina Applegate is great. Maybe not the best English accent, but who cares? The guy who played Hunter was actually pretty good as well. I think his name was Matt Ross. Jean Reno was a lot of fun. It's not somebody you typically think of as being comedic, but he's really quite comedic in this. The guy who played Andre was silly and fun. Tara Reid, not really a great actress, but she was fine in this. The only time I was like, oh, yep, that's the Tara Reid I know, was when she was disappointed in Andre for not quitting. which happens in the movie. I'm not too worried about giving you spoilers for a 24-year-old movie, but that's not really much of a spoiler. Next category is originality, which I gave a 3.25. I think there's probably been a lot of time travel movies, but I really enjoyed the slapstick style of this one. I think it presents as different than what we've seen before. Again, not super different. 3.25 isn't a super high ranking, but it's not low. So dialogue/writing, I gave a 4, which that's probably too high. But I really love the way they point out things that would be strange to us, but customary in the 12th century. It was the 12th century, not 14th. And what would be strange to people from the 12th century here. That's just, it really appeals to me. I love history, and I love the idea of seeing how people would be in these two different times. One of the things in particular that I really enjoyed was they get into an elevator right in the beginning, and this little girl goes, "Oh my gosh, they stink." And I really think that would be one of the biggest things for me if I went back in time. I feel like that would be the first thing that I would notice, is that everybody smells terrible. Anyway, all right, so let's go to the next category, which is film coherence. I gave that a 2.75. Coherence is fine, but there are definitely some gaps. Like, why did Hunter end up in England? And to sort of go back to give you context on that, spoiler alert here. At the end, he gets his comeuppance and he goes back in time. They explain how the Frenchmen go back in time and end up in Chicago by saying that basically the bedroom that they go back in time in has been transported to a museum in Chicago. So that's how they explain that. But why does Hunter then go back in time in Chicago and end up in England? That part doesn't make sense. Also, it seems like Julia could have just said that Thibault didn't kidnap her instead of running from the police. So there's a whole scene in here where they think that Thibault has kidnapped Julia, and they run away from the police, and it just seems like it could have been easier. She's like, "No, I'm fine. There's no kidnapping happening." Also, nothing happens from that. They literally run from the police for miles, and it's just like, that's fine. We're good. I guess if you get to the place you're going ahead of the police, that means the police don't arrest you. That's lucky for Julia. Also, assaulting a police officer and stealing their horse, which is what they do in this chase scene, is not something they would just brush off, but whatever. Now, sometimes Thibault is magnanimous to people that aren't noble, like when he's in the bar. And sometimes he's just a dick. That also doesn't cohere super well. And as I'm saying, I think I'm actually going to put this down to a 2.25. Anyway, so let's go to joke coherence. So joke coherence, just to sort of explain what this category is for those who haven't been listening for a long time. It's just basically, do the jokes fit with the story? Now, in this case, the story is that this guy wants to marry somebody. He kills her because he was tricked by witchcraft. He ends up going forward in time, and he wanted to go back in time, and he's just trying to get to the love of his life, right? Like, that's the story. The jokes in this, which are hilarious, and I enjoyed them a lot, they don't really serve the plot. It's not like carrying the story forward. It's just a bunch of like slapstick stuff that happens, which is funny, but not necessarily towards the story. They're just ancillary. So because of the plot, jokes can happen, but jokes don't happen to serve it. So they lean into them, and I love them, but I wouldn't say they were coherent to the story necessarily. Now to the next category, which is joke relevance, and this is sort of a very subjective category. It's the category that says, do these jokes stand the test of time? So they worked 25 years ago. Do they work now? And I gave that a 4.25. There is some R word usage, and some of it relies on what is now old technology. But I think the jokes would be funny no matter when we watch them in the future. I think it still does hold up, and I think it would continue to hold up. The next category is character relatability. I gave that a 3.5. I thought they were all decently relatable. Hunter is greedy, Julia is kind and has been manipulated. It happens. Thibault needs to right a wrong. Andre discovers his worth. Angelique is kind of an empty vessel, as is Amber, who is Hunter's. He's cheating on his fiance with Amber. That's not really a spoiler. You find that out real quick. But that's okay. They're ancillary anyway. Yeah, 3.5. Now to my ranking of it. So on a scale of 1 to 5, I gave it a 4.35. The beginning and end are slow. I just think I could just watch the middle of them getting used to life in the future over and over again. Like, I wish that the whole movie was just that for like 2 hours. It's just them getting used to the future. It's the type of humor that just works for me. And to that point, we go to the laugh counter. The laugh counter is just me tallying up the amount of times the movie made me laugh, and that gets added to the score. So in this case, it was 26. All right, so for those of you keeping score at home, that puts the total score at a 58.35. And you might be saying, well, what does that mean? Well, we've got tiers for you now. A 58.35 puts it in the tier of meh. mediocre. That's meh and mediocre mixed together. Because you guys haven't heard these tiers before, I just want to let you know what the tiers are. I'm going to list them off for you. So from funniest to just not funny at all, we've got meaning of life, the Holy Grail, I'd watch it again, mediocre, which was what this one was, rank it and regret it, and disaster piece. So those are the 6 tiers. Now, I know it comes into the tier of mediocre, but if you like this humor that I'm talking about, where, you know, they from people from the past going to the future and there's a bunch of hijinks, watch it. It's really fun. Just turn your brain off and laugh. To me, this movie is the perfect evening for the person who wants to turn their brain off and laugh like a donkey. And then in the morning, you can make waffles. All right, if you like the episode, please consider subscribing or following, leave a comment, do any sort of engagement. You know, I'd love to hear from you. If you have an idea of what you'd like me to rank, please let me know. You can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/therankpodcast. You can support the show. Email us. Our information is in the details. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Jean-Marie Poiret?